Hey, what's going on, everybody, man? Michael back at you guys with my boy Devin. Hey, man, Devin, how you doing today, bro? Appreciate you being here.
I'm doing great. Busy day as normal, but I got no complaints, man. I'm feeling good.
Hey, man, 80% don't care, 20% glad it's you, man. So we might as well just keep the complaints to ourselves and roll with it, bro. You know what I mean? So,
Right, right.
just want to, introduce yourself to the viewers. Let them know a little bit about your background if you want. Why you joined the service, what branch you were in. You want to speak on your job or any of your first couple experiences while you're in the service, and then I know that you didn't do 20, but you lead us up to a little bit of what you were doing in the service, and then when you maybe knew you were going to get out, or just how did all that transpire. But the floor is yours, bro. Appreciate you being here.
Hey, man, I appreciate the floor for sure. I'm happy to be talking to you.
Too
So,
easy.
I guess I can say I initially became interested in joining the military when I just felt really stuck. I started working at 14 actually. I was getting paid under the table. I was cooking the whole entire time up until about 21, 22. And I felt stuck. Like, yes, I was expo. I was doing all these great things in the kitchen. People were starting to actually know my name because I was really personable with everybody. And after a while, I just realized I can't do anything without owning a kitchen. I decided just one day I got into a real bad argument with one of the restaurant owners, and I was like, you know what? I need to do something with myself. Like I feel like I'm nobody right now. I want respected. I want to be respected. I want opportunities. I want to do more. So I just up and told him one day out of pure anger, hey, you know what, man? I'm putting him out 2 weeks. I'm joining the military.
Yeah.
And he looked at me like I was crazy. And I came back the next day and I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I don't have 2 weeks. I'm actually leaving next week. It was either I left 1 week or I would be leaving in almost a month. So I just said, fuck, I'll go in a week. That's fine.
Damn.
And yeah, I just kind of dropped everything at that moment. Granted, at the time, I was living with my mom still, so it didn't hurt too bad to just kind of drop everything. I didn't
Yeah.
have much personally to drop, so it was essentially just a base for me to start on. And yeah, I just full sent it. I actually, fun fact that a lot of even my guys I was with didn't know, I was gonna go in to become a scout because, of
Okay.
course, you know how they get you at MEPS, the job descriptions sound cool.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, for the time being, they do. Right? Yeah.
right, and then I found out they were just 19 details, which is
Damn.
funny. But
Good
hey, no,
thing.
no disrespect, to y'all. But like they always got stuck with it, and yeah, I went in. Ended up finding out I was blind. Like I had like 20, like 80/20 vision. My vision was horrible, and they told me I couldn't do it. So I was like, okay, what else is available? And they said medic, and I was like, that sounds great, actually. And of course, me not have joined, I was like, I've watched Hacksaw Ridge. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Dude, you get
I
BCGs, man, when they found out you were blind, did they give you BCGs? They gave
BCGs.
it like them birth control glasses, man. That's what they used to call them back in the
Oh
day, like them
God.
old brand. Yeah, I don't know what you guys called them, but man, yeah, you get a pair of those in basic, and you got something going on.
Yeah, so they did give them to me, and I'm not even gonna lie to you when I say this is the same pair that I wear them on a daily. If I'm doing something, if I'm going somewhere nicer or something like that, I do have other pairs of glasses, but these things just they've held up. They've never broken. They've been through it all and they've held up. So it's like I'm not gonna waste my money by wearing expensive glasses right now when I could just wear these and rock these for a while.
There you go.
It's like, yeah, and I joined. I got sent through reception and I got sent to Benning, which was
Hmm.
definitely an interesting time.
Yeah.
And I mean, a fun fact about that is they actually held me in OSIT for a week because they didn't know that I was a medic, and I kept trying to tell them that I was. But initially, since I was talking with them about becoming a scout, like I was talking with the people there, I was like, yeah, I was supposed to go scout, blah, blah, blah. I guess they heard that and they really thought that I was supposed to be going through OSIT. And I tried telling them I was a medic, and they laughed and walked away. And this was probably one of the highlights of my Army career, was being able
Oh,
to watch the first sergeant smoke all the drill sergeants at the time for holding a
damn.
medic in OSIT for a week.
I was about to say, what they have you doing, man? They're probably treating you just like one of the other students or whatever. You know what I mean? Trainees, man. What were you doing?
It's like a lot of it was blurred. So they were taught, like, of course, they were dogging us consistently. That never stopped. And they had us working on, like, different map skills, weapon skills, things like that. They consistently are, like, the instructors that were there were really huge on hand-to-hand combat. So the dumb thing that we always had to do, where you kick out and say, "I am a little shrimp," and things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. Shrimp
Like,
out and punch day. You gotta love all that stuff, dude. All right.
they had us doing all of that pretty consistently. And yeah, I mean, they found out that, like, I brought it up like 5,000 times, and one of the higher ups heard me say it. Like, I'm assuming, like, I was private, so I think I just joined, so I don't fully remember, but I'm pretty sure it was either Sergeant First Class or First Sergeant. Like, one of them heard it, and they were just like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was told that," and I didn't know what I was talking about. I was like, "Yeah, I was told that I was supposed to be like a whiskey 68 or something like that," and
Yeah.
they all they flipped their shit. And
Yeah.
they
You're just
went and
giving them
talked to
ammo.
the first, like, they went and talked to the first sergeant, and I hear him start screaming at them, like, how, like, going off, like, "How the fuck did you let this guy, like, how can you let this happen, blah blah blah." And he had one of them start doing paperwork stuff, I guess, to get me moved, and he just started dogging everybody else. But they were in the office. I was able to hear it all, though, and it was amazing. Like, that's
Damn.
a
You
highlight
got
I'll
you got.
never forget. That was the craziest thing ever.
Nah, dude. That's probably like a private's dream come true to see that happen.
It was absolutely insane.
So what happened after that? You got moved, and did you go to Texas and did your AIT and everything like that?
Yeah. So I did get to go to San Antonio. It was the coolest thing ever. Like, I have to say, especially being a joint base, like, if you were to go to Fort Sam Houston, that you can 100% have a good time there. Like, I can pretty happily say their DFAC is actually really good. Like, they have a lot of things to do there on free time. Like, in AIT, how they pretty lenient. I know OSA doesn't really let up much, but going through as medical, like, they're actually pretty lenient with you. I mean, yeah, you go through your initial smokings and they show who's boss, but at the end of the day, you still do get free time in the evening, and you're able to go, like, play guitar. Like, they have little band rooms and whatnot, and you just kind of meet up and play with random people. They had a lot of pool tables there. Like, it was all actually really cool.
Yeah.
And the like that aspect of it, the base aspect, who we were around, that was amazing. The downfall to it, though, was at the end of it, I didn't 100% feel qualified, because we were literally doing a whole chapter every day. Like, we would go through a chapter, the next day we would take the test, and then we'd go through another chapter the next, and they sped it up ridiculously, which, and I understand why, but it made it 1,000 times more complicated. And while I was there, I honestly just kind of it was kind of memeish. I just kind of, I don't know, I didn't know what I was doing 90% of the time.
Yeah.
It was rough, and that's honestly probably why a lot of fresh medics come in really seeming like they don't know too much, because unless you're studying until like midnight, 1 a.m. all the time, like, you're gonna miss a handful. You may pass the test at the end, but you still are, like, you're not gonna remember that. You just kind of sped through everything.
Yeah, that's kind of funny that you say that because I was food service, and when we went to Fort Lee for AIT, I mean, you go through these sections. It's like something along the same things. Like, all right, this is how you set up a table. But then you go to Fort Campbell and you got to cook for 800 people. You don't learn how to do that in AIT. So like you said, you learn it when you get to that first duty station, man. You're going to learn, you either going to learn a lot or you're not going to learn. And then that just domino effect for your whole career or whole stint in the military, man. You're either learning or you're not. But luckily, we were learning at Fort Campbell. Where'd you end up going after AIT? Where was your duty station?
I got everybody's favorite choice, which ended up being Fort Riley. So I was just in the middle of nowhere in Kansas, essentially. That's kind of what especially coming from someone who lived in Chicago, that's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah, most definitely.
There's
Culture shock on
nothing
that.
around
Yeah.
us. It's like it didn't take, I'm not going to lie when I say when I got to Fort Riley, it didn't take too much time to warm up to it just because I don't like everybody that was there already. Like I was able to see, like honestly, see a lot of the what we would like to call, camaraderie and brotherhood. Like I was able to see all of that off the bat, and everybody was really cool when I had arrived. And like I had met people pretty quickly, just even going through this week while they're doing our paperwork. Like pretty quickly, I was meeting people, and we were going, out to pool halls and going fishing and things like that, which are all new to me, but it was pretty nice going in, because if you do end up with a good unit and you're around good people, like you'll have the most welcoming experience possible. Like I haven't heard the same from everybody, but I can
Yeah.
happily say that if like I was welcomed with open arms walking in there.
Okay, that's great, dude. Yeah, same for me at Campbell. I feel like it was a good experience overall for those years. Did you stay at Riley the whole time you were in, or did you move around, or how'd that go?
So stationed. I was at Riley the entire time. I didn't. I had thought about going somewhere else, but honestly, and everybody after a while ends up complaining about Riley, because after a while it can get a little boring. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I I figured it was convenient since I was only a 12 to 13 hour drive away from Chicago. So when I wanted to visit family and whatnot, I don't really want to take a flight. I'm not huge on flying. I rather just drive it. So it made it a little bit easier in that aspect.
Okay.
And I remember right when I showed up, the first thing that was told to me when I showed up to my unit, like, I was in a nonchalant conversation, smoking a cigarette with who was the rear D, essentially the rear D first sergeant.
Yeah.
They're nonchalantly having a conversation. He's being really cool. I'm like, it was great. It's almost like kind of like if you had a specialist talking with, leadership, like they'll usually be pretty cool. He was acting the same way with me.
Okay.
And he had told me, he was like, oh yeah, and by the way, you're going to be packing your things. Next week, you're supposed to be going to Poland. It's like, what?
Surprise. Like, hello.
Like, okay, I'm in the army now. You're right.
Yeah, pretty much. So how'd that ended up going? You're like, you got caught off guard and pretty much just had to pack up and bounce, or what?
Yeah, I went through, it took a little bit longer than a week because, I had to go through getting all of my things issued to me from CIF. It's like there was a lot of administrative crap that I had to do, and I was dumb, and it was a while ago, so I couldn't even tell you what half of that is now. I don't know
Oh,
what
yeah,
administrative
yeah.
things were going,
Yeah,
but
you
they
don't
were
even want to
constantly
remember that
moving,
part.
right? It's like they were constantly moving me around between all the S shops and other buildings doing things with me on the computer and on paper.
Oh yeah.
And they ran me through CIF and RFI, and I remember I got screwed out of that because my NCO at the time, or I think it was a specialist, honestly. I think it was a specialist or corporal. I know it was an E4 for sure. He decided to tell me to take as many things as I can from CIF and RFI.
Oh,
Logically, I thought I shouldn't grab double items unless it was something that made sense, like gloves in case one gets wet or something like that.
yeah.
But yeah, no, he told me to take everything I can. And when I went up there and when I went up to the lady and I said that, she looked at me like I was insane and said, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, he told me to." And she just said, "Okay." Like nobody helped me there. And yeah, that I had a lot of fun with that when I was getting out. Oh God, I had so
That's
many.
always a dreaded story, man. It's clearing CIF, dude. I can only imagine what you end up having on your clothing record if you took everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
fun times,
I
dude.
had like 4 pages, just all full of multiple items. It was like half of it I'd never touched and was absolutely useless. Then some of the things I didn't touch disappeared. It was like, yeah, it was interesting. And then on top of that, before I actually went to Poland, they gave me this ridiculous packing list that, I mean, I guess that's just a new guy thing, and you learn not to pack everything on the packing list because, like, yes, be ready for as many situations as you can be, but logically, there's a lot of things that you're really like, nobody's ever gonna let us wear those gray puffy suits, man.
Yeah, the
It's like
marshmallow. Yeah. You're right. You're not going to Arctic or something like that. Yeah,
yeah, it's like we're not invading Russia or anything. So like those we're not gonna be using those.
right.
Like so when before I went, they told me to pack. I felt like I brought like a good 75 to 80% of my gear with me. And I barely had enough space for any of my personal stuff. That kind of screwed me out going there, like going overseas my first time. And so it's
Yeah,
like I
that's always a
feel
culture shock, dude. You don't really know what to. And it's like if you don't have anyone really showing you the ropes, like yeah, I think I did the same thing to Iraq. You're like bringing all this gear, but you don't really know. Oh, I got to bring snacks, or I should have packed this, or I should have packed that. You kind of find that out after you're already gone.
yeah, it was insane to me. I was not prepared for it at all. And I do feel like a lot of people, because I've met a lot of amazing NCOs in my life, and I do feel like there's just those handful of NCOs, especially when you're on Rear D, that just want to just kind of clown on and mess with the new guy, especially going overseas. Like this is his one chance to mess with somebody, so
Yeah.
he's gonna take that.
So you end up going to you guys all went to Poland. How'd that end up going for you? Was how long was it? Like your rotation and stuff.
It was 9 months. I had
They
gotten
go.
there pretty early into it.
How'd it go for you?
Honestly, it was a huge shock coming from somebody who had never left Chicago.
Okay.
I didn't like I honestly in the school I went to, there were a couple Polish girls and they would share a lot of their stories about back home and things like that with me. And I kind of remembered that, so I kind of saw what they were saying. Like they would say there's stray animals everywhere, things like that. I always got in trouble for taking care of the stray animals. Anyways, it's like it was pretty cool. We got to do a lot of really dope training. Going to Hohenfeld's was awesome, honestly. Or well, yeah, because we had
Man, you might be the
essentially
only person that's ever said that, dude. I was stationed in Germany, and man, when you go to Hohenfels, it's not nothing close to awesome because you know you about to
okay.
get
Here, check it
roasted
out.
all day in the field. But no, go ahead. I want to hear you.
So you have to like this is why there is a reason why when I was still fresh into the art. Keep in mind, I just got to my unit not even a month ago,
Yeah,
and now I'm overseas, and they have this ridiculous op tempo that we're running, constantly training and whatnot. When people initially join the army, that's what you expect. So if you get hit with that immediately, you love it because that's what you thought it would be.
right.
It's like it's when you only go through training, like you go like you're I like they're I guess crappy training exercises, or you guys really aren't doing anything. You're stuck in garrison for a long time. I feel like that's when your motivation really starts to deter. But
Yeah,
since I was fresh, I was new, I was super hooah. I said yes to going like as being a medic to every range I could.
yeah,
Like it ended up being really really fun for me because I wasn't I this these are the things I thought I would be doing. My mind as a civilian didn't think, we're not in wartime, we don't have all these crazy things happening right now. I was more so just thinking, like I'm gonna join, I'm already going overseas, we're about to go to war, let's get it. Like I was ready.
yeah, right.
That's what I
Yeah, I
joined
can
for.
understand that. Yeah, a lot of people do that same reason. They want to get over there in the action, so that's understandable.
Like, so we didn't get to do anything real, but with like a lot of the countries over there, Italia, UK, like all these people that we were just pulling together, just having this huge rock war and actually kind of, I guess, in a way, kind of understanding what it would feel like to be a medic and, try to drag people out and do things like that. It's like,
Yeah,
that that was exactly what I was there for. I was loving it. It was cool. I had never experienced something like that in my life. Like that was
right.
awesome to me. That's why it's like if I would hit Hohenfels again during my contract, I probably wouldn't have been as ecstatic about it.
Yeah, one maybe you got good off the one time. It's like that's a one and done type of deal. But like, man, when we were stationed in Germany, you go to Grafenwehr or go to Hohenfels,
Oh
and
man,
you knew it was going to be trouble. Like, man, you out there doing it in, man. But it's all good. It was all fun, but it just builds your character and stuff like that, and you can talk about it. But there's nothing wrong with it. Like you said, you're doing these huge field operations with hundreds or thousands of soldiers in the regiment, and they're moving and doing all this, and people come from all
it's
over and train
crazy.
in Hohenfels. So it is pretty cool though, man. In Europe, you got to experience like NATO ops and stuff like that. So that's something cool too. Probably cold. I mean, you used to cold from Chicago, so I guess like I don't know, was Poland bad for you? Like you were hurting over there, or you're like this isn't that bad?
I'm gonna be honest. It was a new. So I had already been introduced to a new style of cold when, and I could definitely put them in comparison. When I was in basic training, I went through Georgia in the wintertime. I joined in October. It was not the greatest idea.
Hmm.
Like when I got there, when we were sleeping outside, dig a cute little trench for yourself. You put, like I only had my Wooby at the time that was logical to use. Put that over the hole. It's like and lay in that. Like we were working on doing things like that, and I had no idea. Nobody brought up that it was a good idea to put your clothes inside your sleeping bag. I
Hmm.
never camped like that. Like I
Yeah.
like being outdoors, but I'm from the city, so there's nowhere to really camp nearby.
Yeah, and nor if
I
you
went
cold, that's gonna be like the last thing you want to do is kind of do what you're supposed to do is like downgrade and like get stripped down to like your shorts and your shirt, and then like yeah, exactly like you said, put all the other stuff in there to keep it warm and get dressed in there. Yeah, you find out the
yeah.
hard way, man. Yeah,
It's like I found that out fast because when I woke up that morning, like I was like, okay, I can deal with it for a second. I'm just gonna jump out there in my boxers. I'll be fine. Throw my clothes on real quick. I jumped out there. I picked my shirt up, and it was frozen solid, and it
damn.
wouldn't unfreeze. So I had to like pull it apart and break the ice. And I put that on. I didn't really have
Ooh.
a choice. They told us no snivel gear that day because we were going through, like the obstacle courses and whatnot. So they told us no snivel. I'm scared of them, so I'm like, okay, no snivel. I didn't think logically with the fact that I have ice all over my body. And yeah, the whole day I had semi frozen and very crispy
Damn,
clothes
dude,
all
you just
over
sitting
me.
around walking pneumonia or something like that, dude, like a walking icicle. Dude, you were really getting it in over there then, man. So like after you had those great experiences, what was it like coming back and like how many well dude, so after you got done with Poland, you were still in the army like less than like maybe 2 years because I know your AIT is a little bit longer for medic, but
Yeah, it was
once you got back,
4 months.
how did it go once you got back from Poland? What ended up happening then?
Um, I realized that okay, I don't know how else to explain it. It might sound weird, but I realized nothing was permanent.
Hmm,
It's
okay.
like so when I came back, there was a specific pool hall I loved going to. And if you're a Fort Riley, like around the time I was, and then prior, you probably know it. Like it was called the Fat Toad. Amazing pool hall. Like we were able to smoke inside and everything. It was a great place. And I came back and it was shut down because something had happened. It's like when I went to go to my normal barber when I was over there, he wasn't there. When I got back to the unit, yes, I made all these new friends, but a lot of the friends I had made on rear detachment, that I went out drinking with and whatnot, like
Yeah.
a lot of them were gone because I mean a lot of the people on Rarity were like getting chaptered and stuff like that. Probably why they were so fun, to be fair. But
Yeah, they didn't have no damn care, man. They're out there on their last leg, dude. So that's dangerous right there. But so you
yeah,
just
like
start seeing everything change around you, and you're like, hold on. You just have like a aha moment, like, wait a minute, like, man,
like
I gotta do like something. What was the next step for you?
I was like, I honestly in that moment realized I should work more on just becoming more adaptable to everything and not falling into a extremely heavy set routine, because routine is very good for you to an like in my mind, I think it's really good for you to an extent, because I like now I really like switching things up. I don't get my hair cut at the same place. I don't eat at the same places. Like I always
Yeah,
switch everything because I understand things change so much. So I want to experience and enjoy everything that I can before it's gone and the next thing comes in. It's like I kind of a weird thought from it, but that's really what I took away from it, because everything just changed so much. And that was the first time in my life, I guess besides for joining the army, that everything around me just switched and in a very short period of time.
how old were you at the time? Because it's kind of interesting to hear that perspective. You were probably in your young 20s, dude. I mean, like most people, I mean, when I was, all we kept doing is going deployment and coming back, and like all you worried about is trying to catch up on all the days you miss when you get back and spend the money. It's like, damn, man, I don't think that switch even turned on for me. Even when I got out the military, I was winging it. I was ready to go, blah blah blah. But it's like it seemed like you had a different mindset, man, which is kind of cool. How'd you come up with that? Was it all solo and just like, you did it, or was it like a combination of things?
So it started when I was still on deployment. Like I'm not gonna lie when I say I was kind of struggling with my mindset a little bit. Just first time I'm away from home, I'm not around friends. Like I'm I was decently accepted, but to an extent, because there were a lot of seasoned medics there. So it's like I kind of felt like I hit my own little bubble in a way. And when
Okay.
I did that, I just decided to take it as time to better myself, because I'm like, it doesn't matter what like anything happening around me, it's not gonna matter as long as I'm prepared for it. So I'm just gonna work on myself. I'm gonna prepare myself for anything, and I'll have nothing to worry about, nothing to be scared. Like that, no negativity should cross my mind if I know that I can handle these things. And I took a huge dive into honestly doing things like meditating, going out for jogs, listening to podcasts, things like that. And it really helped my mindset and just kind of helped me ground myself so that I was able to like, start being more self-reflective and looking at things a little bit differently to kind of learn from everything that happens. So when I got back, I continued that. I even upped it, and I started to like when after I'd hit the gym and what like after I just went hard on a set, I was going and doing yoga in my room. It's
Yeah.
like I started really trying to work on myself, and in doing that, like I don't know, I started looking at things differently, and I started becoming like, I guess, the positivity when everybody else was upset, because everybody's was negative a lot of the times and everybody was talking shit, but I really became that guy
Yeah.
that everybody was, trying to tell their problems to and talk to and whatnot, because it's like I was genuinely, unlike a lot of people that do acting, like I can honestly say I was genuinely happy for a long period of time. It's like I was working on it really, really well. It's like I guess that's kind of where those ideas started coming from. It's like I just took all the boring time on deployment and just turned it into working on myself almost the whole deployment.
Dude, that's great. That's great advice, man, because sometimes people just watch TV shows the whole time. They might not even pick up a book, or instead of listening to music over and over, like you said, listen to a podcast, like program your mind into stuff that you want it to, what you want to harvest. You know what I mean? Like, and you
Yeah,
you did. It seems like you were doing that. So props to you, dude, for doing that and being there for the people that were negative, because it's easy to be negative when it only takes one person, man. That's it.
Yeah,
One
and
person
everybody.
can get that cancer going, bro, just like a cancer cell, dude. Just start eating away at all the good. Like, damn, dude, we could
Yeah.
look at bad stuff all day. We could get on this call right now and talk about, hey, let me tell me everything bad that happened, dude. But like, who wants to? Who actually? People might
Honestly.
click on that. People might like that. They're like, oh, damn, man, this is awesome, man. These dudes hated it, man. I hated it too. Like, it just get the wrong vibe. They're like whatever they want to call it, vibe, whatever they got going on nowadays, like
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah, but it's like no, that's cool that you were able to definitely try to do that because it's not an easy task. So you were doing that, self-improving, got back from Poland, and then like pretty much your time. When did you know like you were gonna separate from the military? What that looked like for you? Did you have a plan? Did you think you knew what you're gonna do? Did you have a job lined up, school plans, or what that look like?
Oh man. Phew. Okay, so I don't even know if I want to go through each step my mind has gone through in like just changing my mind over and over and over. Because like a thing
Yeah,
about like at, if you've been in, you understand this. Like the thing about the military is you have opportunity to go anywhere and do anything afterwards. You can completely change your life after the military. Like
yeah,
I didn't have to come back here. I could have used a loan and went and got a house with a farm on it in Mississippi and started like wheat field. Like, you can literally do anything once you get out. The army gives so many opportunities when it comes to that. If you
yeah.
take advantage of them, you have a lot of opportunity for that.
Oh yeah,
And
you're right.
it's like I changed my mind, and I would like to tell people not to discredit themselves and not to deter yourself because you don't know what you should do. I'm still fully figuring out what I should do. You just have to, like, when it came to figuring out what I wanted to do getting out, I had talked to a therapist a couple times while I was in the military. Because I'm not going to lie when I say a lot of those majors are great conversation.
Yeah,
And like I was talking with him about it, and he got me thinking about something, and that's take what your core values are, take what your core beliefs are, and turn that into your work, turn that into making money.
there you go.
And I had never thought about it like that until I heard that. So I decided to do it because I was really scared, honestly. I was scared to stay in because I didn't want to be consumed by the army and not give myself any other options or opportunities.
Yeah.
But I was just as scared to get out because I'm like, okay, I'm going back off into the world. A lot of people struggle doing that. Am I going to be in that boat too, you know?
Yeah, did you have any mentors or anyone like beside the majors that you talked to like when you went to go seek help? Did you have anyone in your unit that was trying to like try to push you in the right direction or like did you have anyone you could bounce ideas off or like was everyone around you too worried about PCSing or ETF or PCSing or like going to formation the next day that wasn't really brought up?
So I am going to say, and I hope that they all get to see this, but I am going to say that a lot of our medics out of everybody there were, and I'm not going to discredit the rest of the unit because
Yeah.
there were a lot of amazing people there, but all the medics were actually really really good with one another when it came to that. And the medics in that unit has had amazing leadership like the whole time I was there. Leadership changed a few times, and the medics were always like, we've always had some of the best leadership in the unit. It's like, and I will never forget, like, a big one was that actually probably influenced me the most and helped me keep my mind right when I was going through a lot of things was Sergeant Sergeant First Class Crawford. I will never forget that dude. Like, he
Yeah.
was, how do I explain it? He was huge in the gym, put 3 plates on as a warm up, but he was also like I don't know how to put it. He was the embodiment of like one of the most positive people you can make. Every morning, you can tell he wasn't happy all the time, but every morning he was giving everyone motivation. He was helping everyone he could. Like, he was doing the best he possibly could, and I respected him to no ends for that. And he was our mental resilience trainer. And he was, I think he was in his 40s, if I'm not mistaken. It's like he had a lot of great knowledge and experience to share. It's like he had been on deployment multiple times. He had a lot of things to share and teach, and he would never say no to a conversation. Like, he was definitely the type to be willing to pull his rank off with you in the office and just purely talk like men if there's any issues. Like,
Yeah.
I loved him to death. He was one of my largest mentors for sure, and we've always had amazing meadows too, which is really surprising to me. But every medal that we got was the exact same way. They were just as awesome as like he was, and like our leadership just slowly built and got better and better because we were all feeding off of that energy. And then we'd all be ranking up, so we're just, now we're feeding that to our, younger ones. Like, it just continued that way. It's just a constant feed of positivity coming through that. It's like, that was amazing. And I've also listened to a few different podcasts that are life mentors. It's like I listened
Okay.
to a few podcasts by them to kind of get me on the right track when it comes to making money, because I was kind of dumb for a little bit. I wasn't completely sure what I wanted to do. Like, I knew a lot of different, like, I knew how to play with stocks and things like that, but I didn't know what I wanted to do as a job. And I guess just all these things together in a way, like, it wasn't just one thing that helped. It was all these things just kind of clumped together, really put it together for me that you like, you know what? The medical field is fun. This is really cool. I love helping people. I like adrenaline and being in emergency situations. I already have an EMT license, so let's go have some fun. So now I work on an ambulance in the South Loop of Chicago. Like, I'm like, let's go have some
How's
fun
that?
with this. And
I was gonna
this,
say, how's that working out for you?
I love my job. I will tell any medic though that decides to join, the piece of advice: please get your paramedics while you're in the military. How much stuff you learn a paramedic's level worth of knowledge while in the military, especially if you get to put it to work on people.
Right.
We only leave as an EMT. When I got out and I got here, my scope of practice went from this to this in no time. Like,
Yeah.
I was, if it happens in front of you, you're able to give crikes. You can do chest, you do all these crazy things while you're in the army, as long as your PA says it's okay. Here, the strongest medication I have is Narcan and EpiPen and Benadryl. Like, unless you come up on emergency situations where you work with trauma and you have to do things, like, we really, it is not the same level. We are not allowed to do as much. Like, I'm one of the dummies who would be willing to lose his license to work on somebody and do something he's not supposed to help him go home, because I have emotion mixed in with my job. I'm not supposed to, but I do.
Yeah.
But when you come out to do that, it gets really difficult with the scope of practice, but in a weird way, that kind of gives you a head start in moving up in the medical field, because you already have more knowledge than your basic EMTs that have only worked in the civilian world.
So
Like,
how'd you hear about the job that you got? Did you have all that lined up when you got out, or did you have like a time of decompression or a time of whatever? Did you have a gap in between your service and your job, or like what that look like?
so I was able to get lucky, and I found a childhood landlord to help me get rent and get here. I was able to come up with enough to move and make the first month's rent. Then, since I luckily had a car, like, that is one thing the army did help me get, was a car. It's like, since I had a car, I just drove DoorDash for maybe a month or two. After about 2 to 3 weeks, I had started dropping a ridiculous amount of applications everywhere, because I had these realizations of where I really should work, because I wasn't sure yet. I was thinking, honestly, I was thinking about going back to the kitchens or trying to find like an IT job.
Okay.
And I, like, as long as I was doing something to make somebody else happy and feel good at the end of the day, I would have been happy. And I wasn't too sure I was going to actually be able to get a job on an ambulance, because I was like, there's all these smarter people out here. Why are they going to want me? And I applied at like 7 different places, put my application on ZipRecruiter actually, and I had like 15 people call me.
Damn. You weren't expecting that. That's good then. And man, medical field, man, is like always it seems like always a demand's gonna always be there, man. You know, the paramedics and
Sure.
like EMTs, dude, the burnout rate, like all, how you know it better than me, dude,
Yeah,
but I
it
know
gets
enough
tiring. They're
to
long
speak
shifts.
on it. Yeah, exactly, dude. And just what you see and what you deal, like that's high stress. It's not like you went from the military from a high stress up. You're right back in the same thing essentially, dude. You know what I mean? Maybe even more
Yeah.
adrenaline going on every day that you're on call. Because is the South Side of Chicago? Is that you said that's where you're at? Is that the bad part? Is that like the sort of like where everything's going on up there, or how's that going?
Yeah, essentially, like, so, I mean, there's things that can happen all over the city, but predominantly, so we have two different garages. We have a garage on the north side in a suburb called Skokie that is definitely further north. There are a lot of nice areas. That's where like a lot of retired people are and whatnot. You have like a lot of firefighters, things like that, like people like that living over there. And then you have our south garage, which is based out of the South Loop. And in the South Loop, around it, going around the hospitals over there, which like would be the major hospitals like U of C, U of I, Rush, Swedish, like there's all these major hospitals over here. And they're placed in a lot of really crappy areas. And I don't mean to diss them because they are beautiful areas at the end of the day, but there's like Hyde Park, Garfield Park. There's all these rough areas in the south side of Chicago, and that's primarily where we are.
Okay.
It's like like obviously we're an ambulance, we get flagged down. People love flagging us down for fees.
Oh man, I can only
But
imagine. I've never been to Chicago. Yeah, I know they got good food up there, man. Taste of Chicago, Fourth of July weekend, but I haven't made it
oh
up there
man, I
yet.
get
I have to
good
get up
lunch
there
all the
sometime. Huh?
time. So I'm getting good lunch all the time.
You got to. What what so like it seemed like it wasn't that bad, but you didn't really seem like I'm not talking down on you, nothing. Just seemed like you didn't really neither did I. So no, like you didn't really have the best plan to get out, right? You just like, I'll do this and do that. So if you could go back and do it again, or you could tell somebody that's in it or going through it right now, like what would you tell somebody if they were going through something similar to you?
All right, so I'm gonna tell you straight, like right away, the whole time you're in, think about what you want to do coming out. You're not gonna know what it is. Your mind's gonna change 50 times. You don't need a specific direction. You just need to set lanes for yourself so you kind of know what you can work with.
Yeah.
You need that plan. You don't want to get out. Like there's a lot of homeless veterans out here for a reason. I know a lot of it is attributed to PTSD, but a lot of it also is, and a lot of people struggling coming out is really because they didn't have that plan. If I could do it over again, number one, I would have liked to know that trying to get through SFL and finishing up everything to get out, clearing battalion, clearing post, all these things. I would have liked to know it's about as difficult as clipping the nails of a tiger. That'd be cool to under that. I would have liked somebody to tell me that at some point that it was going to be complicated. The
What rank
NCO
were
that
you
I,
when you got out? Sorry to cut you off, but what were you? Were you NCO or E4? What were you? E5? E6?
so I went I went from 5 to coming out as a 3. I made mistakes.
Oh, you good, dude? I mean, I've been there, done. We all got mistakes, but no, just curious because like if I was just curious to know because like were you a soldier getting out with no one guiding you? Were you an NCO getting out saying, "Hey,
No.
you're on your own"? Like it's kind of like what were you what hand were you dealt when it was time for you to bounce out?
So when it was about time for me to get out, I love I love all my friends that I was there with. I do love all my leaders I was there with. I will say though, because everybody was so caught up in doing things coming back from that last rotation. Everybody was so caught up in doing everything with that nobody really had the time to put towards giving me guidance and helping me get out. I essentially got handed my battalion clearing papers and said, "Hey, here, have fun and go to this building at some point to go get more paperwork." I was like, "Okay." Bro, man, I was so lost in getting out. I also got told by another NCO that it only took a week to clear post, which was the biggest lie I was ever told.
Yo, how long did it end up taking
I
you?
It was ridiculous. I had to complete it in the week. I had to leave and go, like I had to leave and go back to Kansas because I wasn't able to get all my CIF gear turned in. It is damn near impossible. I mean, it might be post dependent, but yeah, I think it's pretty impossible to get off a post in a week, man. I really do.
That's a
It's
pretty
like,
quick
hey,
turnaround, dude. I mean, I've heard a couple people say like a couple like I just talked to Rooster. He said, man, he said he got told he did a med board, but little did he know they said, hey, you got like 6 weeks to clear post, and that's not even a lot of time. You know what I mean? So 1 week is pushing it, man, to the limit for sure.
it's
So
like I
like when you got
thankfully,
go ahead,
I'll say I thankfully had battalion cleared,
that's good.
but like my battalion got cleared like this. I was really friendly and really cool with, all our S shops, all our, like our supply and CO, our armor. Like I was really cool with everybody in that aspect. So when it came to turning my things in real quick, when it unit wise and getting everyone's signatures, I had 98% of those signatures. I was maybe missing one or two in one day. That was like clearing battalion. If you're cool with your battalion, is not that hard. When it comes
Yeah,
to clearing
battalions.
post,
Yeah, you're right about that, dude. Absolutely right.
and when it comes to clearing posts, you have to drive very consistently to buildings all over. Like how when you're at your unit and everything gets sent up levels, it feels like you're in a maze trying to figure things out to get tasks done.
Oh yeah,
It's usually not that bad at the unit because you can usually find somebody, whether it be in the motor pool, around the building, like you can find somebody somewhere.
yeah,
But when it comes to doing that for post, it becomes 10 times more complicated because you're going to buildings in random parts of your base that you did not know even existed,
boy.
trying to figure out
What you
when that
tell them, man? Let them know, dude. You hitting it on the nail on the head, dude. You being dead serious, dude. That's for sure. You gonna know if you know Fort Riley. You gonna know if you know whatever base you at when you start clearing, dude. You start saying, "Oh, I gotta go to
yeah.
building 25S65 flight line, whatever." Clear.
Right?
That's yeah. You're right though, man.
Oh shit,
About
man.
that. Yeah, dude. So like when you did you have any like what did sick call look like for you in the military? And what did the process get now? Did you meet with a VA rep and like go over if you ever got injured for your disability or anything like that, or was that sort of not on the table?
Okay, so starting off at, I'll start with this. Yeah, like I didn't talk to a VA rep. I had initially thought, like, I was really teetering. I didn't have a lot of time to get out as it was. I was rushing everything, and I was really teetering back and forth on if I wanted disability. I'm just, and this is a slight problem with me. It's good sometimes, bad other times. Like I'm really prideful. I don't like to accept things. And when I was, attached to the infantry company, there's a lot of my leadership, CPAP machines, ridiculous losses of hearing, bodies all messed up. I had like have shrapnel scars and things like that. I almost didn't feel like I know that I am deserving. People reiterate it to me a lot, but at the time, I really just looking at them, I really didn't feel deserving to take anything out. It's like, yeah, my neck hurts, my back hurts. This is why I stretch though, but my neck hurts, my back hurts, my right knee's pretty messed up. I have a ringing in my right ear, which is really fun, probably from the 113 engine all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like there's a few things wrong with me, but when I look at other guys that have been through it, it's like, yeah, you know what? No, I'm fine. I don't need it. But now looking back at it, I kind of wish that I would have had the opportunity because when you come out, you get real, like while you're in the military, you get very used to having your housing covered, not thinking about utilities. Like Wi-Fi is accessible, usually not super expensive. It's like you get used to all these amenities, and when you get out, you realize that how much you think you need to make to survive is not how much you need to make. It's like when I first
Yeah.
got here, I was in a financial struggle because I wasn't used to paying my utilities like that. Like, you get so used to all that being covered that when I'm like, man, you realize, but this is like, it's a lot more money than you think it is to pay at the end of the day.
Yeah, gas, utilities, food, no DFAC, no meal card,
It's
no
rough.
whatever, like whatever, dude. Yeah, I mean,
I'll
DFAC
always
can
be
be rough
honest about that.
sometimes. Yeah,
Like, I'll always be honest about that, man. Like, I have no pride in it. Like, there's nothing that will stop me from admitting, like, yeah, I struggled real hard because I wasn't used to managing my money that easily. It was as easy as one of my buddies calling me and being like, hey, let's head to a bar. Like, all right, cool, I'm down. I'm not even gonna look at my bank account. It don't matter.
yeah. And you do that, and you go do that. Get so messed up, whatever. You go home, and like if it's the weekend, you probably go back out and do it again, man. Depending on who gives you a call, right? I did it before, all too much. Like, hey, you ready to go? That's all you can really. That's all you can really do. But it's like, man, that is not getting you anywhere, dude. You just drinking your paycheck away. But nothing, just
Yeah.
But so
So then
like
a little
obviously
bit
I
about
don't. So you never even went to any VA. You never went to any like disability rating when it was time for you to get out. You just thought like, you know what,
nope.
I'm not even going for that. It's not me type of deal.
Yeah, I just got straight signatures. Like, I also figured I wouldn't have time to do it, but I really just got straight signatures and bounced. Like, yeah, like, I just went straight through it all. When it came to medical, I knew if I would, like, I knew nothing was really, really wrong with me. If you look at me, check me out, check my mobility and all that, nothing's seriously wrong with me. So, like, I was just able to pull all the signatures out, and I was cool with my PA anyway. And it helped that he was a special force medic. He was really cool.
Yeah,
He did a couple very simple things, and he was like, you know what? Do you feel fine? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, all right, fuck out. Here's your signature. Bye. I was like, okay,
yeah,
cool.
pretty much. So
And with it,
what would you tell somebody? What would you tell a younger you, minus and like have a plan? Like, if you could do one thing different, what would you do? The main thing that you might have missed out on,
I
or the
would
main things. It
under
could be more than one.
so I would understand what route I want to take before I want to join the military.
Have an exit plan
100%.
already before you get in. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes, when you are picking your MOS, like, this is ridiculously helpful advice. When you pick your MOS, think about what it will bring you when you get out. Like me,
Yeah,
thankfully, like, I do love the medical field. I fell in love with doing this stuff. But I also do realize, like, in my financial struggles when I got here, like, I also do realize if I had went into cybersecurity or something like that, I would have easily came out making a hefty six figures without a doubt. It's like you have to think about where you're going to go and what you should do to get yourself there, because you can get ridiculous licenses and certifications that these really high level places want to see. And if you don't pick the right job, you're not going to come, like, you're going to feel like you should be able to do this. You're responsible enough, you want to do it, but you can't, because, like, even as me as an EMT, I wanted to do more when I got out, but, like, I wanted to, be on better ambulances in a higher company, maybe be on a fire department, but I didn't have my paramedics. I didn't think about the fact that the Army only gave me an EMT license. I wasn't thinking that far ahead yet. I didn't even think my license was, like, I didn't know if I was going to keep doing it at that point. It's like,
right.
you really have to line yourself up in the right direction.
Yeah,
I would
absolutely
say
right,
another
dude.
one too. Like, another one is definitely that I really take to the heart, and it's a lot of people say the military shouldn't feel like an opportunity or that's the place to change your life. I've heard that from a lot of people. I highly disagree. If you need to get out of a bad situation, if you want to change your life and become a better person, when you join the military, nobody there knows who you are except for what they have seen in you. That
That's
is your
true.
opportunity to turn yourself around, because I know I did it to myself. Like, growing up in Chicago, it was kind of funny. I was like Malibu's most wanted, and I immediate, like when I joined, I saw that as a perfect opportunity to be a completely different person. I'm going to be a happier person. I'm going to work out consistently, et cetera, et cetera. And I was able to use the discipline instilled by the military to become that person at the end of the day. Like you 100% can take it as an opportunity, and you never have to talk to anyone negative in your life. Anybody who had problems with you, you would never have to talk to them again, because you don't even have to go back to your hometown after you're done. It's like
Yeah.
you wipe the slate completely clean and start as a new person.
Yeah, absolutely right, dude. That's great. You
It's like,
said it. You said it great. What's one word that describes your military career? If you could say one word, what would you put it in?
I guess I would go somewhere along the lines of discombobulated.
Okay.
It was so much order. At the same time, there was such a lack of order in everything we did. It's like we may have been, and I'm not gonna say discombobulated necessarily for the fact that, like the whole military is just like that. Yeah, there's a lot of there's beautiful structure there, but
Yeah.
in that structure, no, it seems like nobody ever knew what was going on because there's such a lack of communication. Things just happen. Nobody else knows about it. This person didn't tell that person they need this vehicle on this day. Now we're calling the commander to borrow it. Like there's a lack of communication in a lot of places, and it always felt like it was just a new adventure every single day because you never knew what was going to happen. You were always a little confused about things that were going on.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain that. Like, and I know that also might be a unit specific, but it seems pretty consistent across most people. Like, I don't know if you've had that same experience too. It just
Oh
seems
yeah,
like
man. I
things just kind of
had good
fall
and
out of the
bad.
woodworks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Good and bad. Sometimes you're like, man, what's going on here? But yeah, like you said, sometimes it's a dissemination of information, miscommunication, misinterpretation, all that and above, man. But I guess we can look back at it all now and laugh at it now that we've been there and done that. You got any friends that are still in or like out that you've been trying to help, or like that you might have seen struggle that you guys got through it together, or you just had to like anything about something like that?
Yeah, actually, I keep up. So there, like one story I'll never forget. I was really proud of this. When I was giving, 'cause I love teaching CLS classes. It's really fun to me. I love teaching people. I love screaming at people. It was great.
There you go.
And one guy that I was teaching had a real, like, I'm not gonna say his name, but I'm pretty sure he would know who he is. Like, he had a real lack of confidence in himself. He was really struggling to speak up. Like, how when you call a 9 line, we want you to scream that at the top of your lungs.
Yeah.
He was real timid, shy, was being quiet, and I pulled him to the side and I was like, bro, what's the problem? And because at the end of the day, I do care. If he had came to me with a real problem, I would have loved to listen.
Right.
And he was just like, I'm kind of scared. I know I know this stuff, but I don't have confidence. I just don't feel like I could do this. I grabbed him by his jacket and screamed in his face. I was like, man, you realize what uniform you're wearing right now? I was like, if you don't have confidence, who the hell in this world is supposed to have confidence? And I
Yeah.
was just dogging him. I was like, you know what, bro? I'm going to be 5 times harder on you now, and you better rock this test out. And he absolutely killed it. He actually came back. I was still serving. He was on his way out. He actually came back and talked to me and thanked me because he was really happy that I had helped. Like he said, I genuinely helped him overall. Like he had better confidence in general now. It took that one experience that I was able to give him to be a completely different person. Now I see him, going and out, like he's out and about, constantly traveling, meeting new people, and doing all kinds of crazy things. If I'm not mistaken, he just got engaged. It's like
Congratulations to him.
it feels great to it feels great to do something like that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, even yeah, just to help exactly help people that you served alongside, and just see them like overcome whatever obstacle it was. Yeah, because dude, everyone's succeeding. You're only as strong as your weakest link. So if he couldn't call a 9 line in and making it, it's dragging everybody else down. But at the end of the day, you know he could do it. Just need that positive reinforcement, and you made it happen, man. So, hey, appreciate you being a good battle buddy and stuff like that. It seems like you had a good time in the service, and you know you did your thing. You got to see the world. You got to leave Chicago. You know, see what's going on in Poland. But I mean, you did a
Yeah.
little bit of everything, dude. You got anything else that you might want to close out on, or anything that you want to share?
Um, I guess, yeah. For the love of God, please don't join just because of the free school. You will probably dislike it if, like, actually join to do something that you're interested in and use this as an opportunity. It's like, yeah, I know a lot of people will abuse it to get everything they can, and that's perfectly fine, but like look at it as a genuine opportunity because you can put yourself in an amazing place at the end of the day if you really work hard at it and try to enjoy your time while you're in. It's like if you go
Yeah,
about
you're absolutely
everything
right.
properly, you can get a lot out of it. It'll put you in a well higher spot than you were before.
Yeah, even like someone like you, even like just use your example. You went from, dude. I gotta ask you this question real quick, though. I was gonna ask you earlier, man, but I gotta ask you now, dude. How did they give you medic when you blind, man? How are you medic when you blind?
But
You colorblind, right? I need to know that,
so no,
bro.
I am not colorblind. Okay, so apparently I had no idea that, like, when I looked at trees, I didn't know people could see every individual leaf. I thought it just kind of looked like a little kid's drawing. It was just kind of all fuzzy and green. I
Yeah,
didn't know I was blind. I thought that's how everyone saw the world. And I don't know. When they told me I could go in as a medic, I genuinely asked about that. I was like, is my eyesight gonna affect me? And they were like, no, it won't. Like, we're gonna give you glasses. So then I was
yeah.
really confused because then why couldn't I have been a scout if they gave me glasses?
I guess they don't want scouts
It
wearing
was
glasses, bro. You got
all
to wear that face paint or something like that. I don't know, man. You got to wear that war paint, not BCGs. But no, I'm messing with you, dude. Like, medic's a heck of a career,
it
dude.
was
Like, I mean,
all of
you know, all of, but like if you even if you like think about it, okay, just for a hypothetical, we got someone from Chicago joining the military, they're going to the army, they're going to be a medic. Hey, when you're in school, man, like excuse me, when you're active duty, like a lot of kids like our age when we were in service, like dude, real honestly, like I wasn't thinking about going to college to use a tuition assistance. But think about if you knock those classes
yeah,
out, man, you could almost get out with like your nursing degree. You get out with your paramedic, like you said. So it's like you said, pick something that you're going to be interested in, or pick something, or do something that you might be interested to do in the military, even if it's 11 Bravo or whatever you want to be, or 19 Delta. But you know, if you're doing that, just know that the options may be limited to contracting, to security, to police, you know, stuff like that. But do
yep,
something when you're in and use the benefits you got to get the security plus, network plus. Dude, I've talked to at least 3, 4 people that have all said they got certs, that they were field artillery. One was a cook, one reclassed. So it's like the IT certs are definitely a hot commodity right now. We know that's all in.
oh
So
yeah,
like you said, man, just do something, keep up with the trends, and just make it happen at the end of the day, man. Right?
yep. And I'm gonna add one thing onto that. If you really want to take an interesting route, especially if you like the medical field, get your paramedics. Like you can do a 4-year contract to make it happen. Get your paramedics while you're a medic, and when you get out, make sure you keep up with your paramedics, and you might have to also get the same license in the state you go to. It takes either police experience or military experience to apply to be SWAT. You can actually be a SWAT paramedic coming
Oh
out
damn,
if
never heard
you
that
play
one.
your cards right. So you could put in 4 years of work to become a SWAT paramedic and have a lot of fun in the process. I
And get paid to
really
do
want
it
to do
when you
something
get in the
adrenaline.
military.
Yeah. Like
What are you
it's
gonna say about the
perfect.
adrenaline? You said it's like major adrenaline, right? The SWAT paramedic. I mean, I can only imagine.
That would be crazy. Like it sounds like things like that sound fun. So if you're joining because you like adrenaline, keep in mind how many ways you can make this actually make what you can get work for you and go into something you love at the end of the day.
Hey, for sure, man. Hey, my boy Devin from the Shy, dude. It was good talking to you. You know, I'll
Hey,
always be
brother, it was
here.
good
You're
talking to
trying
you.
to I appreciate it. You know, trying to build this YouTube channel or the social media following up. So if you know anyone that's a veteran or in the military community, hey, call them out, man. Tell them to get on here and be vulnerable like you were. Give their story so we can each one teach one. You know, give back. And there's plenty. If you ever need
Oh
anything,
yeah.
man, don't hesitate to reach out. But I appreciate you and your time. And
I
you got anything
appreciate you,
else?
brother. Thank you.
No problem, dude. I'm always here for you, man. If you need anything, but we'll be in touch. I appreciate everybody listening in. We coming at y'all every day, man. This has been an amazing movement so far. I've got crazy feedback from veterans of all walks of life: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, National Guard Reserve. We got Coast Guard on the. I think I got like one Coast Guard guy in the loop too, man. That's kind of crazy. You don't really run into them, but we got it all popping. We trying to get something going, man. That's going to make a movement for veterans and their families in a positive direction. So, my boy Devin, Shy City, man, appreciate you, bro.